Don't get this into
Kind
water.
of sweetness.
Decent doing the
Sugar
pop.
sweetness or
Anyway,
sweetness.
sponge.
There's so many different sweetness.
Good morning folks, so we're in at Glen Moray Distillery in Elgin, heart of Speyside, and I've got with me Ian Allen from Glen Moray Distillery and Stevie Devine from Moray Golf Club. So a real treat today. We're in the Dunnage warehouse with an actual cask, just over 20 years old I think, Ian, owned by the golf club, been looked after by good selves.
Yep.
Tell us about the cask.
So what we have here is, it's a 21-year-old.
Cool.
This is an Oloroso sherry cask finish, which brings joy to my heart. I love Glen Moray in an Oloroso sherry cask. It just works so well. You know, we're in Warehouse 1 at Glen Moray where we keep all our kind of more experimental stuff, but here Oloroso, one of the most traditional styles of whiskey barrels. Certainly going back in our ledgers, we were filling these types of casks back in the early days, back in 1897. Would have looked slightly different, would have been a butt. So here we've got a seasoned Oloroso cask, but it will still be producing some sublime liquid off the back of this.
Yeah, and Oloroso still used to this day. The sherry casks still quite expensive commodity to get in today's market?
They are, yes. You know, really good sherry casks, it's like anything else in this world, you get what you pay for. A really good seasoned cask where it's had a good couple of years of seasoning is at a premium. You will pay a higher price. What we're finding these days is a kind of move away from Oloroso, well, not move away from Oloroso, but kind of discovery of the other sherry types. You know, we've just got a Paulo Cortado released at the distillery, so we're not just focusing on this traditional style that when we see sherry cask, it's usually Oloroso. We are kind of experimenting with others, but you know, these were filled back in the day because they produce such a great spirit. They are the kind of king of sherry casks, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And the quite unique relationship between Moray Golf Club and Glen Moray in terms of having casks on site.
Absolutely, yeah, a number of casks. I was surprised when we were kind of getting prepared for doing this. I got a list of the casks I had, and you know, spread across the site we have a number of Moray Golf Club's casks sitting here maturing just nicely, and really good ages. You know, they're not just casks that were filled last year, 2 years ago. You know, we're looking at 21 years here. There's some really kind of old Glen Morays kicking around, which is great because we don't have a lot of them. You guys almost have more than we do.
Absolutely. And Stevie, from yourself, from the golf club's perspective, a long history between yourselves and Glen Moray?
Oh yes, over 20 years now.
Okay.
But before then, when we were first constituted back in 1889, we laid down whisky then, and we've done so ever since with various different distilleries.
Yeah, very cool.
Don't get this into
Kind
water.
of sweetness.
Decent doing the
Sugar
pop.
sweetness or
Anyway,
sweetness.
sponge.
There's so many different sweetness.
Good.
What kind of ABV would that sit at, just now then, do you think?
21, in theory we've lost 10% from 63, so 53, 54.
Okay, yeah.
Roughly.
I've got an exotic one.
You want to get the, do you want the exact strength?
Why the
Does
hell
that
not?
help you with
Yeah,
anything?
absolutely.
Let's get it. At that age, in that type of cask, I honestly, you know, Glen Moray comes to life at that style. That's why I was happy that it was one of these that was in here, because I knew when we sampled it, it was going to be good.
Yeah.
One of those where you know you're not worrying that it's a little bit slow in maturation or a little bit too much over the hill. If it's overaged, it'll be too bitter. And with a sherry cask, that is something that you do concern yourself with. You know, with a bourbon barrel, bitterness really is not a concern. But with Oloroso sherry, the tannins coming through, but this is a seasoned one, so the chances of that happening are a little bit less. But if it was an actual butt, you want to kind of keep a little bit of a close eye on it, because that can go over the hill.
So Steve, after our morning at Glen Moray warehouse and distillery, we're now back in the golf club, and 6 great drams in front of us, all with a connection to the golf club.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Do you want me to
Absolutely.
explain these to
Talk
you?
us through them, 1 to 6.
Yeah, well, here's the first one here. Dul whisky. We laid this down back in 1889
Okay.
for the club, and this was our first whisky for the first 10 years of the club's existence.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful dram, but one that you very rarely see out and about. You know, it's most of the stuff here goes to the blenders. You know,
Sure.
but it's a beautiful dram. But anyway, this was laid down for the club. And when I say laid down, I mean we bought it by the hogshead, and it was matured in the distillery there for us, and we would take it out of the distillery when it was ready.
Brilliant. Okay. Okay.
And the advantage of that is you take it out and it's ready, not when the marketing men tell you that it's ready.
Yeah. So you were in control of how old it was and when it was presented.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and still are.
Yeah.
As you've seen at Glen Moray
Aye.
this
For
morning.
sure. Yeah. Excellent.
So that was our first whisky. We then moved to Glen Grant,
Okay.
which is another beautiful whisky, very light, and
Yeah. For
it's
sure.
a very easy dram in the palate, this one. And this is actually our centenary bottle, because Glen Grant took over in about 1900, and for the next 90 years they were our supplier of whisky, and they laid down whisky for us.
Yeah. Okay.
And we had a great to do with them. But in between times, we did have some other distilleries that we had, and one of them here is Linkwood. One of our past captains owned Linkwood, a guy Robert Innes Cameron.
Okay.
So when whisky supplies got a wee bit short during and between the 2 world wars, then they could come to R.I. Cameron, and he would help out with a odd hogshead or 2, you know. So
Okay.
that was a link with them. The other one is Cardew here. Another beautiful dram, Cardew, one of my favourites. And the links there with us is that we laid down Cardew as well in that same years there when whisky became, you know, hard to get.
Sure.
And the reason for that being that the barley was used for other, you know, for human consumption rather than to turn it into the, you know, when it was in such short supply. So Cardew was originally owned by the Cumming family, and John Fleetwood Cumming was a captain of the Moray Golf Club on 2 occasions, and probably one of our better captains, to be honest. He'd done a lot for the club.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, beautiful dram, and he came to the rescue a couple of times and gave us the Cardew. And next one is Macallan. Our links to Macallan come through Roderick Kemp, who was a founder member of the golf club, and he owned, or him and his family owned Macallan right through until the late 80s, I believe, or early 90s, until it was eventually taken over by the bigger firms.
Sure. Yeah.
So our first hogshead came in about 1945, I believe.
Wow.
And whisky was in short supply then again, and we actually had a second go with Macallan back in about 1990 to about 2005. They supplied us for 15 full years.
The club dram.
Yeah, that was a club dram then, and very popular as well with
Of course. Yeah. How cool.
And last but not least, is the current one, which is, this is actually in Moray Golf Club label, but this is Glen Moray, which is a beautiful dram. That's 18-year-old, and you've tasted that before yourself.
Absolutely, Stevie. It's meeting yourself and Graham almost a year ago downstairs that turned me onto that bottle, and I've used it in quite a few of the more premium tastings. So we sometimes kick off with the 18-year-old malt. So no, it's been a great favourite in the tasting so far, definitely.
So I think we've got ourselves the beginning of a really good tasting here over the winter months.
Absolutely, yes. There's something to build on there for sure.
One for the members, I think. So we'll look forward to that.
Amazing history and connections with the club.
Yeah, and still going strong.
Over 100 years, Amazing.
Still going strong.
So Stevie, we're back with another 6 drams, and all of these got a different connection with the golf club as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk us through.
Okay, right. We'll start off with the Glen Lossy here. I think we did mention the guy John here,
Yeah.
John Hugh here. Well, he was one of the owners of Glen Lossy at one period of time as well. We never laid this whiskies down, but these guys were, you know, owned the distilleries and they were members.
Played their golf here. Yeah.
Played their golf here.
Amazing.
Okay, this second bottle is the Craigellachie here. That was owned by a guy called Alexander Edwards.
Okay.
His father owned the Ben Rinnes distillery and left it to him. And he sold that and went into partnership with people and started up the Craigellachie. And the next one here, which is the Altmoor, right?
Right, okay.
He was a guy that also built the Craigellachie Hotel in Craigellachie, famous hotel
Yeah,
up there.
world famous, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a great place to stay. You know. The next whisky we'll have here is Talisker. Now, we mentioned Roderick Kemp earlier on, the guy that owned Macallan. He also owned Talisker as well at the same time. So, obviously...
I was wondering where the West Coast...
Where the West Coast come in,
there.
yeah,
That
yeah,
threw me
yeah.
a wee bit when I saw the Talisker,
Yeah.
but
Okay, the next whisky here is a Mortlach. Now, our connection there is with the Cowie family, Alexander Cowie.
okay.
He owned the distillery, he took over that from his father. This is one that's been made for us through Gordon MacPhail, which is an exclusive to the club. We've had a long and fruitful partnership with Gordon MacPhail over the years, and they have made exclusive whiskies for us
Cool.
from time to time. So you'll see there the Moray Golf Club crest on the label there.
And not so easy to get more, like you don't see a whole lot of around
Oh,
it
no,
over the ages, yeah? Brilliant.
I just bought a wee bottle of that this week, actually, when I was down in
Okay.
Glasgow.
We'll open it later on,
Yeah.
Stevie.
Okay, so the last one in line here is the Glen Rothes. A guy called Robert Dick was a banker in Rothes,
Okay.
and he went into partnership with a few other guys. One a guy Cruikshank, I believe, and the other was a William Grant, not to be confused with the Grants of Glen Grant.
Yes, okay, right.
But they created a very successful firm, William Grant and Co. And Glen Rothes came from them.
Came from that, yeah. Amazing.
Some of the others I've got on this list here I can tell you about are Tinich, owner was Robert and his Cameron again. Tam Dew, Robert and his Cameron was a part owner of that one. Ben Rinnes, the one we mentioned earlier, from Alexander Edwards' father. Robert and his Cameron had shares in that one as well. Altmoor we went through, and Dufton Glenlivet, the owner there, Charles J. McPherson, was also one of the founder members at Moray Golf Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing history.
One more, Inchgower, the one up beside Bucky.
Okay, yeah.
His James Wilson was the son of the distillery founder there, Alexander Wilson. So
Wow.
some great
Amazing connections then over the
Unbelievable.
decades,
Yeah,
over
yeah,
a century
yeah.
with the golf and the whiskey, yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of the kind of information where all this came from, Stevie, because obviously we didn't have a lot of social media back in these days, where did all the info come from to tie in all the legacy drams we're talking here?
Well, it's quite simple really. We still have the original handbooks from the club.
No way.
And oh yeah. And this one here is from 1892, 1893.
Okay.
And it shows you the list of all the different members.
Wow.
And the ones that are asterisks are the founder members.
Okay.
And it also gives you an idea of what sort of work they were in. And quite often it'll tell you just distiller, so you can go into the internet and quite easily just
Is that
trace
right?
them down
Yeah.
for there.
That is amazing.
And this is where we got all this information with the additional
Sure.
distillers
Okay.
that probably half I wasn't aware of. But
Indeed, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that most of our members were not very sure.
Unaware
either.
of, yeah.
So,
That's
so
super.
yeah, some great stuff in here. We've got a wee book in the table here.
Okay. A wee book, Stevie. Nighttime read.
Yeah, it's probably one of these whisky classics, and it goes through. It was written by a guy, Alfred Barnard, and this was written in about 1888.
Yeah, way back. Yeah.
Just exactly the time that Moray Golf Club was being formed.
Okay, right.
So it tells you about all the different distilleries and who owned them, and what was in them, and it's a really interesting book.
Sure. Yeah.
So we've been reading all the history and this, and you know, about all were the club's forebearers, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really interesting stuff.
And that was an amazing whisky itinerary he had back in the day, doing all the
man.
research. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was quite a jolly kind of guy.
Aye.
Went round on it.
A tough job, but somebody had to do it. Yeah, to record the history of it all. Yeah.
But he's very interesting the way he writes about some of the different distilleries.
And Stevie, if we can ask you, as we're asking this question to all the golf clubs we go to, if you could only play one golf course and it wasn't Moray, what would that course be?
It would be a bit of a toss-up between Carnoustie
Okay.
and Turnberry,
Okay.
but probably Turnberry would prevail, I think. It was just a smashing day out there
Okay.
a few years back.
You play well? Take the money, did you?
I did. I played against my son in the sun, and if you
Okay.
remember, that was the big match between Nicholas and
Watson, back in the day, yeah.
So I remember very clearly standing in the first tee, and my caddy was the afternoon caddy master, and he said to me, he says, Steve, he says, do you want to beat your son? And I says, you're right, I do. I says, this is Scotland you're in now.
Absolutely,
We don't give away any games.
No.
So I actually beat him 2-up, which you'll be watching this.
Okay. Happy memories for you.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
And in terms of your connection, Steve, with the golf club, when did you start playing here, and what makes you think it's still a special place to play your golf at?
Well, I played a while when I was a junior here, and
Okay.
for most of my adult life I've been a member as well. So yeah, I've been here, kicking about here most of my life.
Yeah, yeah.
I was born just about 150 yards down the road from here, so
Okay.
very close connection.
And in terms of the nature of the club, how would you describe it to somebody new to the area or new to Moray?
Well, I would say it's an authentic course, right?
Yeah.
It's a member course,
Okay.
right? And you know, round about this area now, you've got some of these, some of these courses that are resort courses, you could call them,
Sure.
and some have turned really commercial. And I would like to think that Murray's still got that, you know, solid link to its members. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. And obviously you've got the Moray Old and the Moray New,
Yeah,
two courses within the one property, if you like. Yeah.
Two fabulous courses, and even though they're both links courses, they're totally different, you know.
Sure. Okay.
So it's well worth, if you're in the area here, to play the two rather than just the one, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Great. And in terms of location, Steve, we're sitting near the Lossiemouth, just at the northern edge of the malt whisky trail. Speyside itself, of course, got a huge concentration of distilleries within a small area.
Well, you're talking about over 50 distilleries,
Yeah,
and the majority of them are within about 25 miles of Lossiemouth.
Okay, brilliant. So a final bottle to talk about, Steve, is the Old Tom Morris Trail bottle, another one from Glen Moray. I just saw this bottle a few months ago when I was in with Derek Ramsey, the pro, and he was showing me the big Tom Morris picture and all the different locations on the trail here, and I can confirm that one of these bottles is with my clients over in Australia now,
Very good.
who are enjoying it. But a great piece to have, just reflecting back to the Old Tom Morris connection for the old course.
Yeah, we're very proud of that connection.
Yeah.
And obviously, because it gives the course that wee bit extra stature, you know.
For sure, yeah.
Sets us out for the rest. But it is a lovely links to play on, you know. It's a superb 18 holes. Anyone coming here to play that can't fail to enjoy.
Yeah. True test of golf on links terrain, isn't it? Yeah.
And the new course as well is Henry Cotton designed that
Okay.
for us, yeah. Who's another big name, and he designed that with, you know, to make it tight, and so it's a wee bit, not a wee bit, it's actually considerably different to the old course.
Sure.
So you can come here and get the links experience, but in two totally different courses, all in the same estate, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's really good.
That's something. Okay, so to finish up our day at Moray Golf Course, we've got another bottle of Glen Moray, but a new one, I think a new one, a new Steve, from the Thompson Brothers of Dornick Distillery. One of only 127 bottles, cask strength, 16-year-old Glen Moray. So a wee toast to you and the club, Steve. Thanks for all your help and expertise on today. Been absolutely brilliant. Slanger.
Links Golf Distilled.
Good side. So folks,
after a great chat with Stevie Devine in the clubhouse about all things whisky, we're out in the golf course. We're in the old course at Moray. Don't have golf clubs to hand, but we're standing on the 18th tee at maybe, possibly for my money, the best finishing hole in the north of Scotland. I've got here a bottle we mentioned before. This is the older style bottling from the club, 10-year-old, done by Macallan. And this bottle was given to me by ex-club captain Charlie Smith. Charlie's passed away a few years ago now. Well-known local businessman, one of the best guys I ever met in my finance career, who used to live just overlooking the 18th. So we're going to take a wee walk up the 18th. We'll take Charlie's bottle for a wee walk up, and we'll have a wee chat about the amazing, always entertaining, never dull 18th at Moray.
As we fly over the 18th at Moray, brings back some memories. Earlier in 2025, I was a late call-in to a star-studded Texas Scramble team, including Craig Ewan, GM at the Kingsmills Hotel, Mark Wright, GM at Cabot Highlands, and Inverness PR guru Peter Kane. We'd scored well as a team, and standing in the 18th, I'm last of the four to play. Not naming names, but we've got one ball in the fairway, a bit short, and two balls are nestled in gardens of houses on the right of the fairway. So with a bit of pressure, I've hit one low, left and running. Felt like the perfect shot, until it ran and ran and ran right into the bunker you see on the left-hand side of the fairway. We stumbled home with a 5, which had us tie for first place, but lose out on countback. Just to show what a range of shots I possess though, I've also stood in the 18th in a solo event some years ago, actually as defending champion, with a good score going, and chose at that moment to lose my first ball of the day by again power fading it across the wall on the right. On that day the golfing gods were with me, so it wasn't fatal to the outcome. As we move up towards the green, deep bunker to left, to be avoided. I've actually christened a new sand wedge in there, just bought from their excellent plural shop at Moray. It didn't go well. So all sorts of drama can unfold here, even when the course is quiet. Add in a crowd sitting outside the clubhouse and on the embankment, as they often are at open days at Moray, and you have quite a remarkable finishing hole.